and gentlemen, the books is in. The books are in. Yep. They in. They're here. ETM Hotel, Rennie Shawn. Welcome in peace. My name is Shawn. I'd like to thank everybody for tuning in. I think I might be putting people away from Robo and Bill, but I'm not really trying to do that. You don't have to stay here if you don't want to. I'm not really asking you to like the show or share the show. I am going to say, again, this bill will be very informative, and we are going to get into the actual sciences of everything that we got going on. I was sent a video by Rastaman earlier today, and he was trying to get the sources of some information that I may have, and instead of sending them over all of this stuff, and it be like something in private, I'm just going to make it public and kind of deal with it now. I don't know how entertaining I might be. Or you might find this to be boring or whatever. But we're going to get into Science with Shawn again. This is the latest episode, like 18. And we're going to rock out and learn a few things. So just bear with me one moment. I'm just share the link to a couple people. And then we can get going. If you are here, please like the show, share the show. You know, post it up on social media, do your thing. Like I said, I know a lot of y'all might be bouncing around because the drama is always, you know, it's more attractive. I don't know. I can't say that it's drama, so I'm tripping. I did scratch that. When I say I'm historical drama, I can say it like that. So I was listening in and what I think Robin was getting into. He was dealing with some historical drama, so we'll label it like that. But it's clear in the air, so man, make sure that y'all go subscribe to MBK. Make sure y'all tune in to MBK. Especially this morning and what Robon going on and future bills, and go back and rewatch all the videos and look out for my brother Judy Mobb. He's a member of the MBK fam. And true story and always get high regards over here. You know. So I was trying to see if Rastaman was in the chat. So peace to everybody that's currently in the chat if you still here. I was trying to see if Rastaman was on. He may not be, and it's all good. Maybe he'll catch the replay. Oh, okay, there you go. All right, so I was kind of pretty much waiting on Rastaman. And again, man, like the show, share the show, you know, tell a friend, tell a friend. So let's just get into it. Let's get direct. And people that join us a little later on, then, you know, they get to the meat. We're going to deal with this client real quick. Let me share my screen. So I'm going to let the video play, and then I'm going to stop it and address it as it go, similar to what I did. Now, I don't have no Instagram. So, you know, this is on this dude. This is public, I guess. So let's deal with it.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Shanood here. I hope you're well. This is a very, very important message for everyone here, you know, who's following the anti-vaccination campaign. Allahu Akbar. May Allah bless you. May Allah have mercy upon you.
Now, at the beginning of this video, he is very specific. Very specific. This video is for everyone following the anti-vaccination campaign. And then he gives us his hamdulillahs.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Shanot here. I hope you're well. This is a very, very important message for everyone here, who's following the anti-vaccination campaign. Allahu Akbar. May Allah bless you. May Allah have mercy upon you. I've just spent, subhanAllah, a few hours on the phone with a few doctors and some activists from up north of England, and may Allah bless them with Jannatul Firdaus. I keep saying this, keep making this dua. So alhamdulillah, one of these doctors who was responding to the Bima video that Brother Rizwan Muhammad from Nottingham did against Dr. Latif, right? And subhanAllah, which has gone viral, and I hope you guys see it, but he gave me this document from the CDC, right? And he said something amazing. So I'm just going to show this to you, okay? The CDC records that those who have received the vaccine, right? So this is found on, this is page 6, right? So this is found, this is the anaphylaxis following mRNA COVID-19 vaccine receipt. This is found on the CDC website, and this is a report following the vaccinations taking place in America, yeah? So what they record is out of nearly 113,000 people who have taken the vaccine, right? 3,000 of them, 3,150 have suffered from adverse health impacts. And in asterisks, what they put down here, and this is the most important bit here, down here, is unable to perform normal daily activities, unable to work, required care from doctor or healthcare professionals. This is insane. This is absolutely insane. We're talking about from over 100,000 people, from 110,000 people, on average 3,000 people, that's 3% of those vaccinated will be unable to perform normal daily activities, unable to work, required care from a doctor or healthcare professional. This is on the CDC website. If you people do not wake up to this, right, what's happening? Take these people to account. And the fact that Bima knows about this, the British Islamic Medical Association, right? There are some colorful things to be said about these people as well. These and wallahi, I say this, they are bona fide sellouts, bootlicking sellouts. They are bootlicking sellouts. And I'm going to challenge any one of them to prove me wrong, right? There's something amazing. So this doctor, he wants to remain anonymous, and may Allah bless him. May Allah bless him, because he's coming inside their ranks to expose this sickness, right? And what is he saying? He's saying that the GPs, the Muslim GPs.
All right. He's talking about this document right here. As you all know, anytime I deal with any type of a claim, it's going to be, all the sources are going to be in the description. So let's deal with the ACIP, COVID-19 vaccine works. The anaphylaxis following of mRNA vaccine recipients, all right? This is by Dr. Clark, MD, MPH. This was published on the 19th of 2020. Talks about the anaphylaxis in UK following COVID-19 vaccine. December 8th, the UK initiated vaccines with Pfizer BioNTech. December 9th, UK authorities confirmed 2 cases of anaphylaxis after vaccination. Prescribing information for both Pfizer and Moderna, dealing with that. And then we have the CDC on anaphylaxis following COVID-19 vaccine, ACIP, BioNTech. And then December 12th, they published the clinical considerations for use of BioNTech vaccine, which is here. And then you have the anaphylaxis in the US following the COVID-19 vaccine, which took place on the 18th. After vaccination, CDC has identified 6 cases of anaphylaxis following the BioNTech vaccine, meeting Brighton collaboration criteria anaphylaxis. Cases were brought collaboration levels 1 or 2. Additional cases report have been reviewed and determined not anaphylaxis. Cases occurred within recommended observations with observation window and were promptly treated. 1 case had a history of anaphylaxis following rabies vaccination. All suspect cases were notified through VAERS, which is the system that they use to record all cases, or CDC notification process, and we'll get into that. These case reports are undergoing and will undergo a clinical case review by CISA. 12/19, 272,000 doses of the vaccine had been administered. CDC actions following reports. Close coordination with FDA, discusses with CISA investigators, NIH Medicine, and Healthcare Product Regulatory Agency, UK Allergy Immunology experts, and other partners. And then they have the published interim considerations here. All right, the V-Safe. This is what comes up. This is vaccine safety abbreviated, active surveillance for COVID-19 vaccines. Restraints with recorded first dose, 14th, 15th, 16th, 17th, 18th. All right. By the 18th, 112,000. You saw him kind of slightly show this on the screen, but he doesn't give you the logistics. He says, this is on the CDC's website. This is this, that, and the third. The health impacts on the 14th was 3. On the 15th was 50. On the 16th, 373. On the 17th was 1476. On the 18th was 3150. He makes this as the overall total of these people. Pregnancies at the time of vaccination, 529, 103, 286, and 514. And then down here says December 18, 530. Unable to perform normal activities, daily activities, unable to work, require care from doctor or healthcare professional. Now, he puts, these have the asterisks. So these people right here had that. Now, CDC assessment and further actions. Post-authorization, pharmacovigilance systems have detected and confirmed 6 anaphylactic cases following vaccination. Notifications received have been timely. Notifications ruled out suggest systems are sensitive. Reinforced measures to recognize, respond, and report anaphylactics. Person with anaphylaxis following COVID-19 vaccine should not receive additional doses of COVID-19 vaccine. Consultation with allergy immunology experts to provide guidance on evaluation of persons following anaphylactics to COVID-19. All right, this is basically a thank you for that. Now, they put this up here. What is the harm in informing people about the data that you have and that you received? So, did 3,000 people really experience health impacts events that kept them from working? Why, sure. Let's see. What could possibly go wrong? Here we go. This is also on the CDC website. What to expect after getting the COVID-19 vaccine. COVID-19 vaccines will help you protect you from getting COVID-19. You may have some side effects, which are normal signs that your body is building protection. These side effects may affect your ability to do daily activities, but they should go away in a few days. What are those side effects? Common side effects. On the arm where you get the shot, pain, swelling. Throughout the rest of your body, fever, chills, tiredness, headache. Helpful tips, right? They give you helpful tips, tell you to reduce pain and discomfort after you get, where you get the shot. Apply clean, cool, wet washcloth over the area. Use or exercise your arms so you don't get tightness and soreness, right? Drink plenty of fluids, dress lightly, okay? When to call a doctor, right? Remember, side effects may feel like flu and even affect your ability to do daily activities, but they should go away in a few days. So we know already that after vaccination, you're going to experience some type of reaction, whether it be minor, low, or high. Okay, so they do it like this: level 1, level 2, level 3, level 4. If you've ever watched any of the sciences with Shawn's, we dealt with the records where it shows level 1, level 2, level 3, level 4. That is in regard to what type of effects you're having. Level 4 is serious. It's life-threatening serious. There have been 0 level 4 responses. Now, it is important for everyone to continue using the tools available. All right. So let's get into the tools available real quick. I might be getting ahead of him. But let me let him do his thing, and then I'm gonna come back. So let's rewind it back.
People do not wake up to this, but they put down. vaccination. CDC records that those who have received the vaccine, right? So this is found on page 6, right? So this is found. This is anaphylaxis following mRNA COVID-19 vaccine receipt. This is found on the CDC website, and this is a report following the vaccinations taking place in America. Yeah. So what they record is out of nearly 113,000 people who have taken the vaccine, right? 3,000 of them, 3,150 have suffered from adverse
out of 112,000 people on the 18th, 3,000 people experienced some type of effect. It says it here, right? Health impact events, right? It doesn't say what level, it just says it, okay?
health impacts. And in asterisks, what they put down here, and this is the most important bit here, down here, is unable to perform normal daily activities, unable to work, required care from doctor or healthcare professionals. This is insane. This is
all right. Why would that be insane if they're telling you, you know, that you're going to experience these issues? It's telling you, remember, side effects may feel like flu and even your ability to do activities, but they should go away in a few days. We know this because when people had allergic reactions to receiving the vaccine, they were hospitalized for 1 day. Within 24 hours, they were let out of the hospital. Those cases have been under 10. In one study, it was like we had like 2 people in one hospital, one I think in Texas. The 2 I'm talking about is somewhere on the West Coast. You had somebody else had one nurse that had like allergic reaction or something like that, was hospitalized for a maximum of 3 days out of the 2 that went from the West Coast. And they were there monitoring that person. So within 24 to 48 hours, they had a reaction. Now, out of all the other people that have had the vaccination, they experienced some type of fatigue, some type of pain at the injection site, you know, feverish behaviors, you know what I'm saying? But they were cool. And it's telling you, after 24 hours, you was good. After a couple of days, if you feel like, they're supposed to tell you that you may feel like you can't do your job, even if you're sitting down and you work from home. If you feel up to do it, you could probably do your job through this. We know of one nurse who tried to get the shot and get up too quick and talk, and you know what I'm saying? But we knew she had a vaginal issue. But this is common. Now, I want to bring this to the front. I want to interject the vaccine safety monitoring. This is also found on the CDC website. All right. So people that are part of the first responders, the clinical trials, and so forth, they have developed a system for monitoring all of this and provide safety measures. All right. The CDC has expanded their safety surveillance through new systems and additional information sources, as well as by scaling up existing safety monitoring systems. So let's take a look at one of the safety monitoring systems. vSafe. All right. It's a new smartphone-based after vaccination health checker for people who receive COVID-19 vaccine. vSafe uses text messaging and web surveys from the CDC check in with vaccine recipients following the COVID-19 vaccine. vSafe also provides second vaccine dose reminders if needed and telephone follow-up to anyone who reports medically significant important adverse events. Let's check it out. So vSafe, after the vaccine health checker. All right. So here we go. All right. Get vaccinated, get your smartphone, get started with vSafe. Use your smartphone to tell CDC about any side effects, period, point blank, straight up and down. All right. Also get your reminders that you need for your second vaccine. Cool. We understand that's notification process. Okay. Throughout this entire process, they are giving you tools to utilize and activate and report anything. Now, do I got it up here? I got Pfizer up here. Now, y'all remember when I showed y'all this, right? And we talked about the document that they have where you can go and you can look at the common side effects. Here are the common side effects reported side effects from the Pfizer BioNTech. All right. It says which these are all right, the most common reported side effects, which typically last several days, were pain at the injection site, tiredness, headache, muscle pain, chills, joint pain, and fever. Of note, more people experience these side effects after the second dose than after the first dose. So it is important for vaccination providers and recipients to expect that there may be some side effects after either dose, but even more so after the second dose. All right. Now they got a fact sheet and additional information. Okay. The fact sheet and additional information comes up and you know it's gonna look just like this and it's gonna give you everything that you need to know. All right. So we cool on that, but this is the fact sheet. All right. So back to VSafe. Now it tells you how to register. Look what's right there. Your COVID-19 vaccination record card. You can input. You will need your smartphone and information about the COVID-19 vaccine you received. This information can be found on a vaccination record card you received during your vaccination. If you cannot find your card, please contact your healthcare provider. So everyone who receives the shot gets the card. You enter in the information from the card onto the app. Then it goes through a process, shows you how to register, show you how to get started, where to enter your name and fill out your information, address you by your name, verify your account, tell you what your next steps are, and then you move forward. You confirm all your information submitted, and you're going to be, notified about your check-ins. You also can go on there and let these people know, hey, look, I got some issues. Complete a VSafe health check, a health check-in. When you receive the VSafe check-in text on your smartphone, click the link when ready. So they send you the link, you click it. Then it's going to take you to the screen. It's going to bring up your name and all of that. They're going to ask you how you're feeling. Green, yellow, red. Next. If you red and you hit or yellow, you hit next or whatever you need to do, they might even just turn around and call you instantly. Or they're going to tell you to call. They open 24/7, 7 days a week. All right, let's get back to this dude.
This is absolutely insane. We're talking about from over 100,000 people, from 110,000 people, on average, 3,000 people. That's 3% of those vaccinated will be.
And that's not on average. So the data that he actually just provided to you regarding out of 112,000 people, 3,000 people will be infected. That is, man, lo and behold, that is not true because 2 million people are vaccinated. And if you're doing that type of math, 2 million people vaccinated, and you're talking about 3,000 out of every 100,000. You know what I'm saying? That means you got 60,000 or more people. I'm really not even, man, I'm not understanding. You got a lot of people, man, that's just messed up then.
Be unable to perform normal daily activities, unable to work, required care from a doctor or healthcare professional. This is on the CDC website. If you people do not wake up to this, right, what's happening? Take these people to account. And the fact that BIMA knows about this, the British Islamic Medical Association, right? There are some colorful things to be said about these people as well. These and wallahi, I say this, they are bona fide sellouts. bootlicking sellouts. They are bootlicking sellouts. And I'm going to challenge any one of them to prove me wrong, right? There's something amazing. So this doctor, he wants to remain anonymous, and may Allah bless him. May Allah bless him.
See, this is the issue that we have with people that make claims. Now he says he has a doctor that want to remain anonymous.
Because he's coming from inside their ranks to expose this sickness, right? And what is he saying? He's saying that the GPs, the Muslim GP, yeah, is their average, their goal is to get 1,000 vaccinations a week, right? That's £12.50 per vaccination. That's, subhanallah, what's the calculation, right? The calculation is these people are, subhanallah, in it for £12,000 a week, £50,000 a month. These doctors, these seller, these coconuts, yeah, they're going to make $50,000, £50,000 per week to subhanallah, just to endorse the pharmaceutical industry and to jab you with this vaccine, right? We've just seen now the CDC reporting that 3% out of the 100 will suffer irreversible side effects.
That this didn't say anything about irreversible side effects. There is no data that exists on the CDC website that says that there are irreversible side effects. He made that claim. He made that up. There's nothing on the CDC website that agrees with what he just said. Nothing. I won't put words in his mouth.
Irreversible side effects. That's what they're.
No evidence of irreversible side effects. They have been very transparent in telling you how long you may experience a side effect. Side effects may feel like flu and even affect your ability to do daily activities, but they should go away in a few days. Let me let them build.
Being, that's what they're only allowing us to be privy to, right? The real numbers. Know that this is $1 trillion industry. The real numbers will always be hidden from you, right? And something else we need to understand is that Financial Times, what are they reporting about Pfizer? So the Pfizer vaccine, yeah, the Pfizer vaccine. Look at this, yeah, the Pfizer CEO on the same day.
All right, this is none of my business, and I really don't care. But let's do it. We all know this. We all know this dude right here sold his stock. This was in November. He sold $5.6 million worth of stock in the pharmaceutical company on Monday. The sale took place on the same day Pfizer announced that its experimental coronavirus vaccine candidate was found to be more than 90% effective. The company's stock soared on the news. That's some trader stuff. That ain't got nothing to do, but go ahead.
As announcement of the CDC, the fact that 3,000 people out of 100,000, 113,000 will suffer irreversible damage from the vaccine. This is official now. He sold 62% of the Pfizer stock. You don't sell 62% unless you know your company is going to tank. Pfizer is going to tank.
All right. Pfizer didn't tank. Pfizer stock rose. So he said it was supposed to tank. And that didn't happen or occur at all. So yeah, he's making it up, but it gets better.
Right? And this is what the doctor means that everyone needs to know. You need to get off the Netflix, get off the PlayStation, right? Get off the Twitter battles, yeah, between Muslims, this Muslim versus that Muslim, right? And get with the program, yeah? This is earth-shattering stuff. So this is the so why the Pfizer CEO is selling 62% of his stock the same day as the vaccine announcement. Selling the bulk of your stake never looks good, but especially when public confidence in your company is a matter of life and. All right. I hope you guys have seen this. Yeah.
Well, that's the cherry picking.
So please, I'm asking everyone, wake up to this. All right. This is, again, earth-shattering stuff. Right. I want you to understand that this year, 20,000 people have died less this year than previous years, and that's.
He said 20,000 people have died less this year than previous years. Oh, okay. All right. Oh, so yeah, y'all see that I've actually looked at this data before because somebody else made that claim. But let's see if I can find a chart. All right, so we have the annual percent change and the deaths per 1,000 people. And this starts in 1950. And this is 2020. So 2019, it was 8782, 87880. All right, so there's more deaths this year than last year. More deaths this year than last year. So let's be a little bit more distinctive. You got countries, you got United States right here. You have the growth rate here. You have the growth difference here, right? And you can go back and look that it's actually been a slow incline. And that's really not, and they saying this number right here, we know it's more than that, but you talking death rate stats. It's crazy. But it's more people dying, man. And there's a fact check article, of course, dealing with all of this shenanigans. Annual death rate does not show 2020 as having one of the lowest rates in recent years. So this is the fact check article for that last claim, right? It says this screenshot was posted to Facebook and Twitter. Comes from data research website called Macro Trends and lists historical death rate year on year between 50 and 20. So we just dealt with it, right? There you go. But notice those numbers on that same site that we showed changed, even though it's showing more. All right. So in 2020, the table shows a global death rate of 7.612 per 1,000. That's what people weren't understanding when it was just saying 8,000, is that it was just breaking it down per 1,000, right? So, which is a rate marginally higher than 2016, 2019, but it's lower than 2015 and all years prior to this. In other words, apart from the 4 years between 2016 and 2019, the data in the table for 2020 appears to indicate the global death rate is at its lowest in 70 years. Social media users have picked up this and have used it as a question to impact the COVID-19, with one Facebook user writing, "Why is the world's death rate in 2020 one of the lowest in the past 15 years and there's a deadly pandemic happening? How is it possible?" In the comment section underneath the post, the same user appears to suggest that the pandemic is a fear tactic. She writes, "This sick, cuss word, are doctors and nurses coming forward to say that there are no COVID patient deaths? I know 2 doctors very well. This is all the fear tactic." We all know doctors. but the data used to make this assumption is misleading. The page of microtrends itself features a disclaimer at the top noting that 2020 data does not account for COVID-19 deaths. It also lists its data source as the United Nations, which published in the latest World Population Prospects in June 2019. The death rates per 1,000 per listed in the UN spreadsheet are close to those published by the microtrends, although not identical. This was explained by the UN spokesman as the data being approximations and could therefore mean microtrends antelope its own version by using the UN's 5-year data. It's important to note that these figures were published in 2019 using data that is available up until the end of 2018, and for some countries up to several years earlier. Therefore, the death rate listed in the table of 2020 is a projection based on data from years prior to the pandemic taking hold. Prior. Now, the UN spokesperson also told Reuters that the marginal increase seen projection for 2020 could be explained by global rates linked to increased population, aging, and past population growth. This has nothing to do with the pandemic. The verdict on this claim is false. Worldwide death rate data from 2019 does not erode the severity of the coronavirus pandemic as of 2020. A rate is a projection based on data from years prior, COVID-19 being recognized as an illness. All right, you can read more about our work. The fact check social media posts here blown. All right, they removed all of that. So that deals with that. There's something else that I wanted to add in that he also got into it. We talked about fact checking payments for delivery of COVID-19 vaccines to ensure general practice can afford to offer it. He talked about doctors getting paid for all of that. The verdict is misleading. The fact general practices will be paid to vaccinate people is not evidence. The COVID-19 vaccination program is all about the money. GPs are small business paid by the NHS to offer health care and receive additional funding in exchange for delivering enhanced services such as vaccination programs. All right, so I ain't even want to get into all of that. That nips both of those in the bud. Let's see what else he's saying in the closing remark of 43 seconds.
On the ONS, the Office of National Statistics, and we need to understand that all of this is hidden in plain sight, right? And if people don't get with the program, like mashallah, may Allah bless Brother Rizwan Muhammad from Nottingham and the doctors that I spoke to today, this morning, and the ulama I spoke to 2 days ago, who are all coming on board, who are all saying, Shanud, you're right. SubhanAllah, the things you said have been vindicated, right? So Bismillah, this stuff is available, inshallah, and like I said in the beginning, please refer to the beginning of this video to get the reference for the CDC thing. But know that we have to act.
He didn't get a reference. So how he gonna tell somebody to get a reference, and he didn't even provide it? He just threw something up there and wanted somebody to go chase it down, and which is what you actually have to do, because if you just look at this screen right here, and that's all you see, you don't see nothing else because he don't show it. You don't know where this come from. You know it on my screen because I'm sharing my full screen. But he using his cell phone to record something, and then he glances over at his laptop. See? What, you can't see that. You don't know what he's showing right here. You're trying to figure it out. You're trying to look. You're trying to figure it out. Go get that source. Where I'm gonna get it at? Oh, it's on the CDC website. Where on the CDC website? You know how much data on the CDC website? Like, it's just disingenuous. And then to sit in and try to manipulate this data as to make it seem like something is just disrespectful. And the December 18 data is there, say at the bottom, right there. And then the 2 stars indicate people who are unable to do work. More people are tested, more people are reporting adverse effect. Look at the numbers. Smaller people, smaller, but it's growing. Smaller, but growing. Smaller, but growing. You double the testing dang near, and you have double the people complaining about some type of effect where they can't do stuff. So yeah, man, this video trash. Appreciate the video roster, man. But it was he couldn't get around. He can't get around the data. It's too much data that's you know what I mean, educating people in too many avenues. So, you know, all this information regarding that video is in the description. That's why the if you look in the description of the video, it says that story 1 and then story 2. Or however I listed it in the description. All right, so I want to transition on, man, now to the good stuff. Yeah, he invoked his God a lot during that video. This the one of the comments that came in 21 hours ago, but I just seen it today. This sister, where I get it from, it's the same one who talked about Inky and giving us a video from Inky website. She says, either way, if it's the truth or a lie, the vaccine is not safe. Where's the cure for HIV? Where's the cure for the common flu? I replied, that is simply not true. They are working on a vaccine. The problem with HIV is that it mutates really fast. The flu is seasonal and also mutates. It's not the same strain, right? If you're unfamiliar with viruses, again, we did a video on viruses. And if the sister's listening or paying attention to anything we have going on, I would advise her to pay attention so she actually can learn from that. All right. In other news, all of these links that you're going to see right here are going to be in the chat. You can cop them and get them. You know, this the good stuff. I'm not going to play a lot of the video we're about to get into next because I don't want to like hold people up. But appreciate that, roster, man. But yeah, the first part of the video, I don't know how long we in. The first, 40 minutes of the video, we dealt with roster man's 6-minute video. It's sad that we got to take 40 minutes to go through a 6-minute video to make sure that we properly understand everything that's being said in the video and just going behind them and critiquing and checking it. All right, so the next one, I'm gonna try to spend a little bit of time with y'all on this, and we're gonna get into the good stuff. Hope y'all ready.
We talked about a week ago, so that's linked in the episode from last Wednesday. And there are a couple of things here. First of all, you may remember that the variant in the UK is being detected by PCR because one of the primer sites is missing, so it's altered enough so that the band doesn't show up. So they're looking at proxy S gene target failure, right?
Yeah, I think it's that it still amplifies, but that the fluorescent probe doesn't bind. I think, but I didn't go back and double check that.
So there's basically a failure of the target gene in PCR. So they've been using that as a proxy for detecting the variant, which isn't ideal, the absence of something, right? But they went in this report, they sequenced 14,950 samples where they know, so now they can say we have the sequence and what's the target failure, and they have 99.3% agreement. So in other words, the proxy S gene target failure is in fact picking up the variant because they sequenced enough to be confident of that. So if you're worried about that, that gets rid of that, I think.
Yeah, early on there would be S gene target failures for other reasons. Yeah. But as this variant has taken over, virtually every time you get this particular PCR failure, it in this part of the UK, it correlates with having the sequence of the variant.
Now they have tables showing the percent of these sequences with different weeks, beginning in October and then going through December 7th. And also they break it up. Excuse me, they break it up by different parts of England, like East Midlands and East of England and London, etc. Mostly, which don't make much sense to me because I'm not familiar with them. But if you're there, you know what they mean. West Midlands, Yorkshire, and the Humber. It just sounds nice. Anyway, they're very high percentages. All right, so that's one thing which I think is of interest. And then the other, which I think is important, is they did a matched cohort study to see, and they call this to inform a preliminary assessment of outcomes of hospitalization and case fatality associated with this variant. So is it associated with more serious infection or maybe less serious, right? That would show up here as well. And so the end result is they looked at 28-day case fatality, 2,700 cases. Among variant cases, 12 of 1,340, that's 0.89% cases died within 28 days of their specimen date, compared with 10 of 1,360, 0.73% wild type cases. The difference not significant. So it doesn't look like it's making any more serious disease, although they're going to keep looking at that, I'm sure. And it's not making less serious disease either, apparently. I guess that would have shown up in a reduction in this 28-day case fatality rate. Although maybe there are more people walking around with milder infections. I don't know. Not sure how you would pick that up. So also they looked at reinfections to see if people being infected with the variant are being reinfected at a higher frequency than if you are getting not getting the variant, and there is no difference in reinfection. So no significant difference in the likelihood of reinfection between variant cases in the comparator group. All right, so those are the important conclusions. No difference in reinfection, no difference in hospitalization, and 28-day case fatality between individuals who are infected with the VOC and wild type, well, what they call wild type. Wild type is it's a kind of a squishy thing now, right? Because they're all wild type because it's what's in the wild, but some of them are different.
I would say that wild type is anything out there that does not appear to be undergoing selection. I don't know quite. I'm not an epidemiologist, so I don't know how to describe this. But there's a background of viruses whose incidence in the population is not changing, or at least not relative to each other. These pop up as increasing in their fraction of the people, okay, relative to other viruses. Yeah, you're right. Wild type is confusing.
Because, when we work in the lab, as we all have done, we have what we call a wild type, and then we make mutations, and those are no longer wild type. And the wild type can come from anywhere. It could be a clinical isolate. You buy it from ATCC or BEI or whatever, right? So it's just a reference, I think.
Very early on, I was really clear as to, since I was going to do genetics, as to what I was going to call wild type.
Yeah.
And I spell that out in my very first paper on this. I got virus from the ATCC. I plaque purified it under non-permissive conditions about 3 different times. I grew it up, blah, 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 made a stock, and I said, okay, this is wild type.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's a designation.
If you've ever had to try to explain wild type to a non-scientist, it's really hard. In fact, I've done that in a science communication workshop exercise where different people get a word that they have to try and explain in only lay language. And one of the hardest ones is wild type.
Yeah. Now I want to see what we have in our book for wild type. We got a definition because you got to have definitions. What is wild type? Box 3.7. Technology can be confusing.
That is a true statement.
You think? Virologists often use terms such as strains, variants, and mutants to designate a virus that differs in some heritable way from a parental or wild-type virus. In conventional usage, the wild type is defined as the original, often laboratory-adapted virus from which mutants are selected and which is used as the basis for comparison. A wild-type virus may not be identical to a virus isolated from nature. In fact, the genome of a wild-type virus may include numerous mutations accumulated during propagation in the laboratory. Right. So it's
Yeah, the wild type's the original.
It's original.
That's the lab scientist definition. The epidemiologist definition is going to be different, and I would want to have an epidemiologist describe that to me.
Yeah.
So here, for example, the genome of the first isolated polio obtained in 1909 undoubtedly is very different from that of the virus we call wild type today. We distinguish carefully between laboratory wild types and new virus isolates from the natural host. The latter are called field isolates or clinical isolates. Yeah, so it's how you use it in the lab to distinguish things. But you could take this variant into your lab and then make variants of it, right? And then you'd say, okay, this is the wild type and this are the variants made from it. So it's all relative. Anyway, sorry about that, folks.
The best word we came up with was reference.
Reference.
Like a reference.
A reference. Yeah. And your reference may be different from mine.
Right.
There's a medRxiv preprint posted December 22nd. Oh, yes, sir.
Yeah.
I want to, before we move on, I want to do this now.
Yep.
You said at the top of this, you described this as a variant that may have increased transmissibility.
Right.
Okay. Are you okay with that? Because that's what NervTag concluded in their first publication. Okay.
Yep.
Or their first whatever. It's not really a publication. Their first notice about which there has been significant debate. Okay. They concluded, in summary, NervTag has moderate confidence that what was then the VUI demonstrates a substantial increase in transmissibility compared to other variants. Are we okay with that? I'm okay with that.
That's slightly different from saying it may. So, for example, the paper we'll look at has a way of looking at it. The CDC, if you go to their website, and WHO, they say initial studies suggest that the new variant may spread more easily from person to person. I'm okay with that, suggesting.
Okay.
I am not okay with concluding, which, as you know, the many mainstream media are concluding.
I don't care about the media. I care about NervTag. Okay? The media is a whole different question. NervTag doesn't conclude anything. They have moderate confidence. Okay.
Right.
That could be translated to suggest. They talk about transmissibility. That could be translated to spread. All they've done is track sequence through the population.
Right.
And report that sequence is increasing in the fraction of the population. They compute an R value. They compute a growth rate, okay, which is something we do all the time. Okay. And they draw this conclusion. And I think it's important that this document, this group, be given the credibility that they deserve. Okay, because they've done this, as far as I can tell, correctly. We haven't seen a publication. That's not their job. Okay, but I assume they've taken into account all of the. I assume. Okay. But they're loaded with epidemiologists and all the rest. I assume they've taken into account all the caveats, founder effect, and a bunch of other confounding variables, and come to the conclusion that this sequence is spreading through the population more rapidly than other sequences. That's all they're saying. The rest is politics and news and the rest. And in fact, if the end result is that all the truckers get tested, that's great. Okay.
Well,
and
yes. So there are two issues. There's the science here, which is what I focus on. Then there's public health, right? So for us to get our scientific proof, maybe it will take years, and we can't wait for that, right? So I agree that from a public health perspective, you say this variant may be more transmissible. So what do we have to do? Well, we have to wear masks, we have to distance, we have to reduce density, maybe close restaurants and so forth, which is great. That's fine. And eventually, I'd like to know if any of these variants are more transmissible from a biological perspective. That's my position, but I'm not looking at it from a public health position. Someone told me yesterday that, we don't know if these are actually biologically more transmissible, but the epi says these things are going through the population faster, so you have to make a public health decision. And those are typically made very quickly, right? And we don't have the luxury of waiting for some experimental results. I totally get that.
The epidemiology is science.
I didn't say it wasn't science, Rich. I'm just saying it's
I just want to get this straight. Okay.
It's a different kind of science. It's not it's not experimentally based science. You don't do an experiment.
So to me, the kind of stuff that you're looking for, is it more stable? Do you shed more? Blah, blah, blah. That's mechanism. Okay. The epidemiology says it spreads faster. The next question is why? Okay. And that's where all the biological may spread faster. That's what they say. Moderate confidence.
Yeah. And CDC and WHO are suggest the variant may spread more easily. I think I'm fine with that. I have no problem with that. What I objected to was, the press. And I know you don't care about the press, but I do.
No, I want to interject here because I think, at least for the two pieces of mainstream media that I consume, well, three if you include BBC on NPR, but NPR and New York Times, the stories that I've heard have all been balanced. They have all said there seems to be evidence that this is maybe more transmissible. Scientists want to get more data, but in the meantime, here's, what we know so far. And it's the same thing that, as Rich pointed out last week, that Tony Fauci said, here's what we know so far about, is it more pathogenic? Do we have worries about the vaccines being able to deal with this variant? But I think that's all out there, at least in the mostly quality mainstream media. So there may be other things that, are maybe less reputable, but
the Times and NPR are not all of mainstream media, right?
True, but
very true.
And yesterday, NPR said the more transmissible variant has been identified in Colorado. That was their headline.
Yeah, so I was thinking about this the other day, last night, in the middle of the night, okay? And I was thinking that in science communication, there ought to be a word that is the equivalent of alleged. Okay?
Yeah, right.
Because when you talk about somebody who might have engaged in criminal behavior, you're legally bound, I think, journalistically, to refer to that as alleged until they're convicted. Okay? And there ought to be, maybe we could use alleged, but there ought to be an agreement. Are you listening, Ed Young? Are you listening, Carl Zimmer?
Great idea.
All you guys out there? There needs to be a word, okay, that can be used in front of this that is the equivalent of alleged, that the public understands, because they understand what alleged is, okay? And they understand immediately that means, oh, it's not been absolutely proven, okay? We think this may be the case.
Well, I agree. I think that's a great idea. The allegedly more transmissible virus.
The problem is when you say allegedly, that has all of its own implications.
I agree.
Okay,
Yes.
And the thing is, when you speak with journalists, they want a definitive answer, right?
Well, that's why you need a simple word, okay? I mean, and get them used to it. Say, look, some sort of scientific law. You can't do that, okay? So, if we tell you it's alleged, damn it. Okay, we're going to sue you if you say otherwise.
Well, it's also like talking about a vaccine or a vaccine candidate, So
yes,
this is
absolutely.
Yes. Right, I agree. But so part of the issue is when, let's say a journalist speaks with someone about a criminal case, they'll talk with some lawyers who say the person's guilty, and some people who say they're not guilty, right? And they provide this balanced view. And I don't know if that works with science, right? There's often no balanced view. There are people who agree with one thing and there are people who agree with another thing. And often it's not going to be resolved for many years until the experiments are done. I think it's different from law, although I agree with the alleged. There's some issues.
So, this is the other thing I've been thinking about, because in some of the descriptions of this, the word proof has been used. Okay. Is there proof that this behaves this way? Okay. And that's a tough word. Okay.
Yes.
When is anything actually proven? Okay. I'm not sure that anthropomorphic climate change has been proven, but I'm convinced. And I can't even understand the data. I'm convinced because so many other people are convinced, scientists, okay? It's tough, but proof is a slippery one.
I mean, there's some things that are proven. For example, reverse transcriptase copies RNA into DNA, right? That's proven.
Yeah.
And
I'll go with that.
And, before that, we knew polymerases copied either DNA to DNA or RNA to RNA. So this was, wow. And it took a while to prove it, right? But I think we're convinced. So there's some things you can prove, but this is a squishy thing because, as you say, we have epidemiology, phylogenetics, and there are other ways to explain the observations. So I agree, it's hard, but the interface with the press is very difficult in cases like this, right? And that's why some of them say it is more transmissible and others don't. The CDC and WHO try and be a middle ground and say we're not sure yet. But in the meantime, in the end, it's all about let's vaccinate people, let's limit transmission until next year sometime when we can get everybody vaccinated. And I think that hasn't changed really, right?
Right. I think that, while I cannot parse all of the phylogenetic data, I trust in the expertise of those who have done it to tell me that there seems to be something interesting going on here. And when I've thought about some of the things that could be interesting and ways that these types of patterns could arise, there are cool ideas and room for many experiments. But I also am really glad and try to make sure that all of my friends and family know that in the end, for what, while I can spend lots of time thinking about what's happening to the RNA and are there host cell RNA editors acting on this RNA, the thing that they should concern themselves with is that the vaccine will probably still work. Their mask is still a great idea. And hopefully, they will continue with their non-pharmaceutical interventions.
I think
and so the end, it is a difference in what we need to know.
That's the concern of people, and that is the concern of the press, is something new arising that is just gonna not behave like we think it should.
Well, and I think with respect to the public health interventions, I think it is important because if this is more transmissible, then the public health interventions become even more important. And if people aren't doing them now, maybe this will scare a few more of them into doing it. But I think it could be something really serious that if it's true, and in my view of the data that I've seen, this genomic epidemiology, which I'm not all that great at evaluating either, but I trust in what some of these people are saying that this could be really serious and there could be even more deaths.
What do you mean this could be really serious? What do you mean by
if
that?
This is truly more transmissible? That's what I mean by that. Okay.
The original wild type is pretty transmissible already.
Sure.
And I think we should be masking and distancing and all that already to a great extent.
And I was just thinking today about some of those early projections that we saw last spring, and if the R0 was 3 or 4 or 5, this is a transmissible virus, but things could be even worse. So you're right, it is pretty good at what it does, but it could have some other features that could make it worse. Another thing I wanted to, go ahead.
I just in terms of transmission, all right? So this I struggle with, right? We had an amino acid change, D614G, which allegedly made the virus more transmissible, okay? And I think the jury is still out on, oh my gosh, I got alleged and jury in the same phrase. Jury is still out. Some people consider it to be, others don't. But now that virus is everywhere. So all these variants have D614G. All right, so that makes it more transmissible. Now we have more variants that have. When does this end? I don't understand how. I have never seen in any outbreak the virus becoming more and more and more transmissible. It doesn't make any sense to me. I think from, backing off from whatever the data are saying, I have a big problem with that. Already we had the UK variant, and then we have one in South Africa and in Nigeria and a few other. Every country is claiming now a more transmissible variant. This simply doesn't make sense to me. That's all I want to say.
Okay.
I don't have a problem. Go ahead, Kathy.
No, you go ahead.
I don't have a problem with that. Okay. Just, this is what is being observed. Okay. And what happens in Africa at this point in time, at least, is independent of what's happening in the UK. They may have different R factors. Okay. It'll be interesting to see what happens when they collide. I don't know to what extent these guys might compete with each other in the environment. I don't know who's got the highest R factor. Okay. But, I don't have any, actually, I was going to say, I don't have any particular prejudice, okay, about what might or might not happen. But I have to say that we have a sort of a history, an arc on TWIV of saying with respect to outbreaks and mutants and changing in biological properties, in particular with respect to virulence, I think, saying viruses don't do that. They don't become more virulent, okay? But first of all, I'd like to revisit that, okay? I can't think of any good examples. I'd like to get a viral evolutionist on board to talk about that. And it's not obvious to me that there would be any selective advantage in becoming more virulent. We've discussed that before. But that doesn't mean that there can't be, certainly in influenza, there's selection for immune escape, okay? There are variants that show up that have different properties, and this is a new creature, okay? So I don't have a problem with this. I'm watching.
Yeah, I think that, to me, one thing that I am paying a lot of attention to in discussions like this is that it does seem that we are using the word transmission slightly differently.
Yes.
In some cases. And so with regard to sort of the phylogenetic evidence, we can see that this virus is making up a different proportion of the viruses that we find. And that is being said to be increased transmission. Is that because someone has a higher viral load, or is shedding more, or is asymptomatically transmitting for one more day? Or is that because the virus has changed in how it interacts with the immune response, so it actually can colonize easier because it doesn't have to get over some immune barrier? There are lots of things that could be the mechanism, and I can geek out in the way that I do about all of those different little mechanisms. And so to me, I don't know which of those things is changing. It makes sense if a virus is adapting to a new host that some of those things could change over time. But I want to know more. But yes, there is definitely a change in frequency of this over time.
So back to your thing, Vincent, about, with this variant and that variant and so forth. I think with the D614G, at least what I've seen the genomic epidemiologists say, and some of whom are on board with it not being more transmissible, but perhaps due to a founder effect, that is chance and, being there and just going forward. But that this variant, which has the D614G in it and several others, has this constellation of mutations that seem to perhaps be giving it this ability to be more prevalent in the southeast of England and so forth. And some of the mutations, at least in the South Africa variant and in the Spain one, are in common. And so, as I said last time, where people are looking at neutralization assays for the 501Y mutation or whatever, I would like to see the data on this variant compared to the reference wild type or whatever the vaccines were directed against. So that's where I am on that. And just two other things before we move off of this PHE document 2, they do start to talk about some data with respect to secondary attack rates. So this is something where they're looking at the ability of the virus by contact tracing to then show up in the next group of infected people. And they don't do that on their matched set of individuals. So this data set is not as clean, and they're going to be getting more data on that as they can do more contact tracing and sequencing.
All right. Y'all have this source. This is the contention, right? This document right here. It's a 12-page PDF. It's an investigation of the novel SARS-CoV-2 variant. This is what they're having issues with. This is technical briefing. And of course, Vince ain't buying the word alleged. You know, he ain't going with none of that. He's like, look, I'm more concerned about a new strain, not a variant. Everybody else is like, well, we can just wait and we can see. Right. But we're in the middle of a pandemic. I ain't trying to wait and see nothing. You know what I'm saying? So he's like, listen, I do this for a living, like dealing with all of this stuff. And this is their way of arguing. And we have no idea that they're arguing based on the way that they're behaving. We can only see Vincent get restless. And he's getting restless. I mean, he's quiet, but he's getting restless. And the way they summarize this is just, you know, it's just not enough data for him. He's not happy or pleased with this data that they're talking about. But what I want to do is I'm gonna let him get his build out, and then when we get like a couple minutes into that, I'm gonna skip ahead to the 59-minute mark. So I want to kind of get some information in for this, and then I want to kind of wrap it up. I don't want to drag this out too long. As you can see, this is 2 hours and 11 minutes, but we're not going to do the whole 2:11. We're going to do about 15 more minutes. I'm going to get a few minutes here on this side, and then some of the open good discussions as far as where I'm hitting it on the other timestamp. So let me get back into that, and let's listen and learn.
Going forward. So there is that.
Got it.
And then in terms of publications, we found out last week, shortly after we finished recording, that there is a preprint from a group of people, many of whom overlap with the nerve tag group. That
the difference between a strand and a variant is a variant. Let me just keep it simple. Y'all remember the analogy that I gave y'all about the Chevy? Let's take, for instance, the Chevy Impala. You got different type of models of the Chevy Impala. You got LT1, LT2, LT3. And, you know, after the LT3, you begin to get the LTZ, right? So, and then you have SS. The SS has a bigger engine, faster than the V6, you know, LT1, 2s, and 3s, but the LTZ might have a V8 in it. Depends. I don't know. What model we're talking about, or year we're talking about. So the new variant is just a same model car, same interior, but it may have one more hot button than the base model. But it's still the same car. You just added an additional feature. This additional feature, we're calling it a variant, right? We're calling it a variant. And it allows the car to maybe do something different than the base model does. A new strand would be a whole new modeled car. So we talking about the evolution, or every 4 years Chevy does something different to their cars, or 4 to 6. The pandemic might be messing up whatever they're doing, right? So let's take let's take a 2001 Chevy Impala or 2004 Chevy Impala, and then we go a 2006 Chevy Impala. They're two same car, two different body styles. That's the strand. The strand will be a whole new body style than the 01 Chevy Impala. Now, the variant is going to be the same body style with just one additional feature. That would be the variant. Drop my glasses.
That is posted, and I have to admit that I've only read through it once, and it's really difficult because it's a lot of this genomic epidemiology and things that I don't completely understand, and it would be really great if we could get some of those people on to talk about that. And then just one little thing that's really kind of an aside, but it's present in this nerve tag thing. It's present in the preprint. I want to buy these people larger fonts for their figures. Oh my gosh. They still, I mean, they have the smallest fonts, and some of them, like I said last week, it's a PDF and you blow it up and it's just all pixelated. I mean, they are like 1/10 of a millimeter high, some of them. It's ridiculous. And they could make them 5 times bigger and their figure wouldn't be any bigger. So are you listening, people? You know, maybe you're using R to draw your figures, and you need to master the figure drawing so that your figures are more legible. Someday you will be over 45 years old and you will want bigger fonts. Okay, I'm off of my tirade there.
So we have been twiddling for 700 episodes. Now, none of you have been here for the all 700, but you've been for most of them. And, you know, we have come to recognize each other's ways of examining issues. And as Rich said, we have developed high standards, I think, for saying a virus is more transmissible or more virulent. And, you know, maybe those don't mesh with public health requirements, and that's fine. I understand that. However, I am not opposed to something new happening with a new virus like this. If you think I am, then you haven't been listening to me for the last 700 episodes, okay? However, I am driven by what has happened before, and you should be. That's history, and those of us who forget it are doomed to repeat it, as you know. I think science is the same. You look at what happened in the past, and you learn by it. It doesn't prevent me from seeing something new, and so that's not the case. I just have a high bar for something new happening. When I see it and the data are there, I'll agree to it. But I just want to be, what did Rich say last year? Critical thinking. That's what we need to do.
I say that every other week, I think.
I hope so. But last week it was Chicken Little, right? And so that's why I'm thinking out. That's where I'm coming from. And, you know, I know viruses do surprising things as far as they can do things. And we're always surprised. Yeah, I get it. But your proof has to be high. And we have certain kinds of data from this, which are brand new, by the way. You know, this whole science of genomic tracing is pretty new. And the first time it's been done in a massive outbreak like this one. And I would argue that the methods are evolving. And, you know, for example, D614G, I had a paper in here, which I took out because I didn't want to talk too much about this. You know, was using computational biology approaches, and this was published before the UK variant and others have arisen, which said there's no evidence that any of these have penetrated more rapidly through the population, at least from these computational approaches. So, you know, my view is that these approaches are in their early days and are not yet worked out. Whereas, you know, a plaque assay works, infectivity works. We know how to assay it. And so that's where I am coming from. Okay.
But what about the Ebola?
All right, I'm gonna skip.
If it's Thursday, it must be Daniel.
Yes, Daniel, show me the data.
He doesn't give me a lot of chance to, you know, press him because he wants to be 30 minutes because the busy clinicians, you know.
Listen, I can forgive Daniel for lots. He's a busy guy.
When you used to come on, Rich, you didn't shy away. You just interrupted him all the time, and
Yeah,
that's good.
Well, except that he does want to do. I actually feel a little bad about that one show in particular. I kept him rapping for 40 minutes about what his life was like. Okay, because I really wanted to know. But he's got a mission. Fine, let's let him do his mission.
Okay, sorry, Kathy. Go ahead. Continue.
Okay, yeah. Two news things that came up today on BBC. AstraZeneca vaccine has been approved for emergency use in the UK. So that's the one developed in Oxford. And so these reports said that together with Pfizer, they will have enough vaccine to cover the entire country.
By when, do you know?
No, I don't know. I don't remember. They may have said, and I didn't focus on that. It's just that they already have lined up enough. Which is not
does
something
it
the
say
US
what dosing they're going to use?
I did not hear anything about that either. I did. The opening line in the BBC story said the UK has ordered 100 million doses, enough to vaccinate 50 million people. So that makes it sound like they're equal sized doses, but that could be just based on old information. That remains to be seen.
So I have a question.
It's full dose according to this article. Yeah.
Okay.
So I have a question. This is kind of gets back to our details about press coverage. People have noted that this vaccine was being approved for emergency use in the UK and have wondered, did that mean that it would be approved soon in the United States? Am I remembering correctly that there's a separate US trial that is a month or so behind? So wouldn't anything going on with the FDA have to wait until that trial was completed and have nothing to do with these data?
Right. Something that I heard said that, yes, this doesn't impinge or make any changes in what's going to happen with the US. In fact, I was told that the AstraZeneca trial might still be enrolling until mid-January, but maybe that was about another one. There were two that were enrolling at U of M, and they might enroll till mid-January.
So I don't know.
Go ahead.
I don't know how these various agencies talk to each other, but I do know, at least historically, that approval in Europe does not equate to approval in the U.S. And the huge story that comes to mind is thalidomide. Okay, if I remember that correctly, that was approved in at least the UK. I don't know how widely in Europe, and the FDA in the US said, okay, and the FDA was right.
So, if they're using full doses, which they appear, because in the article it says there weren't enough data from the half full to approve that regimen, that was only 70% efficacy, right? Which is not great.
Well, back in the day, we were going to be happy with something over 50%. Now we've been a little bit spoiled.
I was never happy with 51%.
I know, but that's what I think was the FDA. But,
yeah, that's right.
Now we're spoiled because we're going to see 94 or 95. I mean, what's the influenza efficacy ordinarily?
Yeah, but okay. But I think it's going to be problematic with 60% efficacy.
It has the advantage that it's a lot cheaper. It doesn't have the cold chain issues.
We'll see what happens. I guess we're going to be doing 2 TWIVs a week for some time, huh?
I was going to say, if we're going to cover the world with vaccines, we're probably not going to be able to do it all with Moderna and the Pfizer vaccine.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm just questioning, right? We're learning as we go along here, right? This is all new. And I'm questioning, and I think that's what needs to be done. I mean, someone told me from Pfizer, he said, you should shut up about criticizing vaccines. It's not right. You should just let them be used. And I don't think that's right. Oh, well. Go ahead, Kathy.
So there was one more thing, and it relates to a question that we had from a listener, and I didn't zoom down to find that. But they were asking about the Sinopharm vaccine, which is one of the ones from China. And they announced today, 30th of December, that the phase 3 trials showed that it was 79% effective. That's what I heard on the BBC. That's lower than what we were just saying about the Pfizer and Moderna ones. However, in the United Arab Emirates, which approved a Sinopharm vaccine earlier this month, they said the vaccine was 86% effective. And so that was from interim results of the phase 2 trials. So they haven't really explained that discrepancy. And
which is
so the Sinopharm is an inactivated vaccine.
Right.
Okay. And there's an article in today's New York Times about people lining up in China for vaccines for which the clinical trials are not yet finished. China has 5 vaccine candidates in phase 3 trials as of today. When I get my New York Times that's printed, I think the deadline is 8 p.m. the night before. But this thing from BBC came out after that. So that China announced that the phase 3 trials for Sinopharm results. So
okay,
a lot of vaccines there. That's all.
It's good.
All right, so Sinopharm, we talked about that a couple shows ago regarding the actual vaccine. I do want to appreciate everybody for tuning in, hanging out. You know what I'm saying? Sutek just got here. I know everybody live at this particular moment, so I know everybody trying to keep up with what's going on in everybody else's business. Some of y'all who been faithful as far as supporting Signs with Shawn, I appreciate y'all. I'm not going to hold y'all up a little bit any longer. I will show y'all this real quick because I did put it in the description. And the article that was referring to regarding, AstraZeneca as vaccine approval and how, they trying to handle their business and deal with it, how they trying to deal with it. So we're still waiting on the data, the full data press release and all of that. So we can get our hands on that and go through, the approval process with the FDA and see what comes of its trials and how effective it is after dose 1 or dose 2. We know it's going to authorize 2 full doses of the vaccine. But our community is not concerned with the vaccine dosage. Our community is concerned with bigger things. What are the adverse effects of the vaccine? We want to know the adverse effects of the vaccine, but not the adverse effects of everything else in life. So when that information is available to us, we know what we're going to do. When we see pictures or images like this, we know exactly what this is, right? We know what they mean by this and how that goes there to help develop the spike protein, the T cells and the antibodies. You know what I'm saying? So this is a nice little, nice little thing going on. And we want to go from there. So let's see what she says, though, in this video about the, hold on. Let me see if I can play this other one first. I don't want to deal with him talking about it's a significant moment. I want to deal with her. So let's deal with her. Laura Foster.
News about the Oxford vaccine is a big deal for people in the UK. More significant than news about the other COVID vaccines. That's because the UK government has already ordered 100 million doses of it. That's more doses than we've ordered of any other vaccine. Enough for 50 million people. That's almost enough for everyone in the UK. But it's also much cheaper and easier to store than the other leading vaccines. And that's good news because that can make it easier to distribute it to people around the world. The Oxford vaccine is called Chadox or Chadox-1 and is made from a genetically engineered virus that causes the common cold in chimpanzees. But it's been altered and uses the blueprint of COVID to make it look a lot more like coronavirus. And because the vaccine resembles the coronavirus, the body's immune system then begins to produce antibodies and T cells to fight it. It means if this person comes across coronavirus again, they've already got exactly what they need to fight it off.
All right, so That was a quick little brief video summarizing what's going on and what they got going on. We'll wait for all the data. We will analyze and critique that data ourselves, and we're not going to trust what other people are saying about certain things. Remember to go back and watch the full episode of This Week in Virology. And, next time we might convene, we might have some other interactions. Now, I'm going to slow down because my vacation is slowly wrapping up. I only got 2 more days of this, and then I'm back at work for the next 3 days and then off again. So I should have just took some more time off, but what would I be? I'm home and I feel like I need to work. But again, man, I'm gonna say Shimon Hotel. Appreciate everybody tuning in, and that's it for Science with Shawn. Peace out. Ladies and gentlemen, the books is in. The books are in. Yep. They're in. They're here.